Claudia Webbe.
Here.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. The Tory government of the super rich has presided over a cost of living crisis that will hit the most vulnerable hardest. Between the uncontrolled pandemic, inflation, soaring energy bills and the end of COVID support schemes, households across the country are facing a difficult start to 2022. UK household incomes could be down 1,000 this year, according to analysts by the Resolution Foundation think tank, as rising prices combined with welfare benefit cuts and rising taxes. The truth is that when faced with a crisis, this government balances the books on the shoulders of those who can least afford it, whilst leaving the fortunes of their rich mates untouched. The unjust policies of this government will push more people over the brink of destitution. Inflation increased by 4.2% in October alone, the highest in a decade. Everyday items are getting more expensive. On top of this, the government's planned national insurance is a regressive tax that will hit the poorly paid the hardest, as workers' pay packets are raided at a time when wages are failing to keep up with the UK cost of living. It means a landlord who rents out dozens of properties won't pay a penny more, but the tenants working in full-time jobs will. Meanwhile, the billionaires, large corporations and super rich that this government truly represents continue to pay a lower rate of tax than people who are struggling to make ends meet. For all their empty talk of levelling up, the Conservatives are continuing to rig the economy in favour of the privileged few. Even before the current energy price crisis, an appalling high number of Leicester East residents were forced to make the impossible choice between keeping their family warm or going hungry. When I became an MP, 5,800 households in Leicester East were in fuel poverty, 4.4% of the constituency. This has worsened during the pandemic to 18.6% of households, or 7,700 households in fuel poverty. Faced with the sharp energy price rise, the government is now refusing to take the necessary action to combat poverty and protect families in Leicester and across the UK. The government must raise its ambition by setting a fuel poverty eradication target, as well as committing to end all forms of poverty for good. This can be achieved by raising taxes on those who can afford it most. The super rich and big businesses. Failing energy companies must be brought into common ownership. This crisis is not one that will be felt equally. Those in poverty already spend the highest share of their incomes on daily households. Poorer households pay as much as 50% on their utility bills than the wealthiest.